Three things I would like to start off this video addressing. One, why didn't anybody tell me that my blue light filtering glasses were picking up the blue light in the video? Hello? Two, you like my coffee? Not coffee. Why did I say coffee? My tea. You like my tea, my little mug? It's cute. Look at him. He's cute. Sub point 22, I'm not going to disclose to you the combination / build of this tea because I will not promote tea that I do not like. I tried to use my mushroom tea and add to the one that I was originally making to soften the blow. It did not work out. However, it's still going to be drinking. I've been drinking. Three, word of the video is bittersweet. We're gonna be hearing that a lot. It's going to be bittersweet, and there's another word, but it's not coming to me right now. And then subpoint to bittersweet, a lot of the connections that we made in the past video are going to be showing themselves, showing up and out in this video. That has been the three things that concludes my PowerPoint TED Talk presentation. Thank you so much. Let's get into the video. Now, imagine that clip that you just heard starting us off the song with Reminders. Now, that song is sampling This Is All We Know by Le Cassette. That took me for a loop, gave me a slight chuckle because of how on the nose it is. Now, one important thing, actually three important things with this song that we must take in. From the start of the track, right, we're doing a lot of things. We started the cassette, Le Cassette. Come on now, you gotta chuckle. We started off the cassette. The cassette is being either rewound, I don't know, or fast forwarded to the next song or the beginning of this song. Then it's being clicked again to start Reminders. And that's happening at the 8-second mark. All of those three things that I just listed are happening in the original song. So I have to take that at face value, meaning that there is a level of importance in its use outside of it just being sampled for the production's sake. And This Is All We Know is about a 5-minute song. It's got probably 10 lines throughout the whole song, and it's mainly talking about how they are so connected to this other person in this situation or this song that they quote, "Our powers are aligned." Their brains are on one wave, one synchronicity, if you will, and there are things and behaviors that just cannot escape them because we are so connected. I know everything that you're doing. I know how you're feeling. I know your emotions right now. I know what is needed to comfort you, to bring you at peace, to bring you joy, to bring you out of anger. Hive mind, if you will. You a part of that ladies' beehive? And while all that's going on, towards the end, but I really wouldn't even say the end, I would just say halfway into this 5-minute song. Now, even though I am constantly telling you that this song is 5 minutes, do not take that from me not liking the song, because I do like the song. It's just that you have to know it's 5 minutes, and of those 5 minutes, there's only 10 lines at best going on. So halfway in that 5-minute song, it's just chanting, "This is all we know," stating that I am so dead set on the fact that I am connected to this person that the intuition and alignment of our identities is all I know. I live, eat, and breathe this person. So, of course, I know everything about them because that's all I know. So, if we take that premise of that song and apply it to reminders, it aids in the storytelling of her that she's been alluding to before, saying, I am so focused on you. I've been prioritizing you when I should have been prioritizing myself. However, I've been prioritizing you so much that I am disconnected to you. So, whenever you try and feed me lies and feed me misfortune, I have a sense of where this is all coming from, and you cannot play me, even though before I have maybe been foolish because I had my rose tinted glasses on. But don't take or mistake my love for naivety. We're not going to do that. Because to love somebody means to pay attention, and I've been paying attention to you while you've been cheating on me, so you don't know me. But I know you. And with that, we'll take you into the chorus. We're going to separate that in half because there's things to dissect. Okay? Every candlelight dinner, date night liquor, late night visitor reminds me of a killer, reminds me I should kill him. Now, every jazz band holding hands, could I have this dance, reminds me of a bad man. Every home decor and hardware store reminds me more of blood on your marble floors. Now, I think that all of these moments, of course, everyday instances, of course, hardware store, home decor. What was the song that was right before this? Hotel. And in Hotel, I mentioned how there was no foundation and she was trying so hard. Home decor, hardware store. She's trying to build something that she just can't have. And that's unfortunate. There's a sense of feeling sorry for her in those moments, but we've got to move on to bigger and better. For the rest of the song, like I was saying, everyday moments, everyday instances are triggering her. These are all triggers that she is bringing up as she is recounting all the things that happen in the relationship because you can't have the good without the bad. And in the presence of what happened to cause this, I can't look at anybody having a candlelight dinner or holding hands and think to myself, oh, that's sweet. Because now I'm thinking about that in light of, oh, that's sweet. Oh my goodness, you remember that time where we were doing that? Yeah, that was so sweet. Oh my goodness. And you remember that day because you took me to the fair, and then that's when I found out that you were cheating on me with some other girl. Oh, that was so sweet. I'm so glad I remembered that. That's what that feels like to me. And then we go into the tail end of the chorus stating, bittersweet defeat. I know you didn't mean it. Bittersweet defeat. I know you didn't mean it. Now, when she's saying, I know you didn't mean it, we can take that in a slew of different things because of the fact that it's following up with bittersweet. And if we didn't go into the definition of bittersweet, let me tell it to you right now from Miss Merriam-Webster, okay? Pleasant but included or marked by elements of suffering or regret. Now, this is the adjective version of this because defeat is the noun. Now, because we know what we know now, in taking in, I know you didn't mean it, here's a stretch. There's going to be many stretches, almost like we're doing yoga. But here's one. I know you didn't mean it could be genuine in saying that I know you didn't mean to do what you did. And that makes this all the harder for me to leave because there's something in me that feels as though you were genuine when you told me this. Right? When you said, I know you didn't mean it, I believe that you believe that you think that by saying, I know I didn't mean it, or I didn't mean to do what I did to you, would constitute me forgiving you. But because I know what you know is what you think, you saying that is going to allow me to forgive you so we can move past this as if you didn't do what you just did to me. That is my sign to leave because of the fact that I was so connected to you, as we said, with the use of this sample, as well as the things that she's alluded to in the past of prioritizing him. Because I'm so connected to you and knowing all your behaviors and tendencies, because let's be honest, to love is to pay attention. And I loved you, but you cheated on me. So you don't know me. But I know you. And I know what you would say in this moment. And you would say, I didn't mean to do this. I didn't mean to cause you hurt. I didn't mean to get caught up. I guess you knew that girl. And that's exactly what you did. And you think because you can just come to me and say, I didn't mean it, that I'm just going to be like, okay, well, let's move on as long as you still love me. No. No. I tried. I put in all this work. I was being drugged. Come on now. And while I was doing all of this, you were kicking it with some other girl. When you had your moment in time of showing me that you're really in it, the first thing that you did was get caught up, and then you want to turn back to me and say, I know you didn't mean it. That's a lie. And I know that. And bittersweet defeat comes in by saying, wow, this is hurt. This is scorn. However, while this is something that is affected with regret and suffering, it's kind of sweet in knowing, or at least bringing me pleasure in knowing that I was right all along. My gut about myself was right all along. However, to be right in this moment is hurt. Now, outside of what's going on with the chorus, I did note that there is a silence, a break from the ads in her singing capabilities and voice. From the 2 minute and 4 second mark to the 2 minute and 5 second mark, you may be asking yourself, now, why did you feel the need to point out a 1 second gap? It's 1 second. You are correct. However, this is getting into music conspiracies and theories. If I felt as though there wasn't weight to it, I wouldn't have addressed it. Mind your business. 1 second mark with the silence in her voice. Now, it is very obvious, even though it's 1 second, that there is a gap because she gets snuffed. Then, on top of that 1 second gap of voice, you have a 3 second gap from the 2 minutes and 4 seconds to the 2 minutes and 7 seconds of a production gap, right? So, after these 5 seconds, Mariah comes back in, she's singing it, she's giving it her all. And then at the 7 second mark, the production comes back in. But as it comes in, it ramps itself up again. It ramps itself up to the point towards the end of the song, to the point where it is not only louder than her, but it's obviously louder than her. We'll get there. Now, I think that overall technique and use of production was for her to fade out of the song because she likes to let her songs breathe. And I respect that. She does it so until the 40-second mark, and then she's concluded her verses, her choruses, she's out, and the song just plays for itself. Now, this is when we get into our secret fourth element that I don't want to tell y'all at the beginning because then I felt as though it would ruin the surprise. The fourth element. The fourth wall. Has anybody watched The Fourth Wall? I believe that movie... No, not The Fourth Wall. The Fourth Wave. The Fourth Wave was a movie that I was supposed to watch. And I put it on my movie list and I never got to it. But that doesn't mean that I don't think it's good because it's still on my movie list. But one day I'll get to it. Anyways, outside of that, the fourth secret element of the song. Towards the end of the track, it clicks a third time. Now, that's where we really get into our thinking bag that, come on now, we're going to need some engagement from the crowd. There's a third click, which means that from the beginning, of course, this is all a part of the sample, but the fact that the sample is used, like I said before, it's important. From the start of the song, there was one click. That one click was either rewinding, now that we've had the three, I believe it's rewinding. It was rewinding everything that played in the third click, right? Because once that third click ended, that means the song was over. Click it at the top of the track, rewinding everything. Second click starts the song off from the beginning. This song is meant to represent a loop. It's always going from the top to the bottom. It's being rewound, having to be played back over and over and over and over and over and over again. What's going on? Is it the fact that it is encapsulating the many times that she's been triggered and the fact that these memories have to sit with her until she gets to that period of acceptance and moving on? Is it looping because she has to sit with everything while she's in this grieving process? I actually want to believe that it is in a loop, similar to how that feeling of once you realize it, once you get it, where it's just like, oh my goodness, how could I have not seen the signs? How could I have not seen this coming? Because towards the end of the song, like I was saying, where the song breathes for itself, it fades off into a static. And one thing that I know about static, when you try and put that on some sort of representation or a film, that means some sort of brain fog is going on. That means brain fog is going on or there's a trance happening. And as we got into it earlier, that was the trance. We're out of the trance. We're now feeling the things. You get what I'm saying? So that could be one of one. It could be one of two. It could be Jamaica Avenue getting it tattooed. But I guess we'll never know. And that brings us to Thanks for Nothing. We're immediately going to start off with this verse because you need to grasp the context of all of which you came. Closer to the window, maybe you can hear the rain. Closer to my heart, maybe you can feel my pain. Please don't think I'm heartless. I'd rather think with my brain. It broke me apart. I promise to not break again. This song feels defeated. Of course, bittersweet defeat, right? And the next song is her laying in that. But this song actually feels defeated from the essence of the production to how that was delivered. I tried my best. I will say that. But I can't give it to you like her. Because when she's addressing the final line of "it broke me apart, I promise to not break again." That's how she said it. Not only do I believe that she was hurt by what actually happened, who wouldn't be, but what I believe is the root of the issue is the fact that she is mad and actually hurt at herself for allowing feelings to escape instead of entering this always thinking out everything before she makes a next step. She allowed herself to frolic in the fields of love. And when she frolicked across those fields and stepped into a bear trap, she got out, but now she's limping and she's thinking to herself, I would have never done that a day in my life. Why in the world did I think to not look down? That is what I feel as though is encompassing either the relationship fallout or that is the inner circle. And then the relationship fallout is around that situation. But along with the song feeling defeated in that strife happening, it is important to note as one is losing themselves to being human, their first response is to be, okay, well, it's time to cut things off. It's time to get back at one with myself. And what I was ice cold. Can't nobody touch me. Can't nobody touch me if I go back to being how I was before. Can't nobody hurt me. Because throughout the song, even though she's defeated, she is solidifying herself back up. Do you get what I mean? She is constantly referring back to the feeling that I shouldn't have let you get as far as you did because I had no right frolicking in love. I shouldn't have had that. But to say it along with her words, let's go into that chorus. Thanks for nothing. I knew I should have called your bluff, and some things never change. You're crawling under my skin, but I ain't had no business being in my feelings. She had no business being in something that she has every right to. Why is that? Could we trace it back to the fact that the past relationships that were engaged in or practiced did not turn up healthy, and her losing the figment of what love is? I think that is a really great callback, and I think that observation deserves an A plus. Now, if we go in reverse of how that song has been talked about, just one line above the chorus, she mentions, "How do you feel knowing I always deserved it?" Why does she feel as though she deserved it? Well, in her mind, I believe it makes perfect sense because she needs to feel this hurt and pain so she can get over it and become ice cold again. Be the queen of Narnia. But we all know what happened to the queen. I actually can't finish off that description because I forgot what went on in Narnia. I'm gonna rewatch it, specifically The Prince of Caspian. I'm gonna rewatch that, come back to you. But what I will say is, when I was a child and I first watched it, I did cry. That movie was something. I feel as though, and think about this with me. When you're a child, right? And a movie or anything makes you feel some type of way to any range of emotional expression, right? That's you as a child. You may understand it, but you don't fully understand it. And then whenever you watch it as an adult or you watch it old when you're older, it hits even harder. But a funny thing about that is you'll question yourself and say, now, wait a minute, why was I crying to this? Or why was I feeling this emotion as a child? I didn't even know what that was. I think that is a funny experience about humanity as a whole. There's little things to look at. Now, on top of the right to not feel, one thing, I know I keep adding one thing, but it's this one thing that's got me tripping. It's the fact that she's holding herself accountable before she is holding him accountable. Because if we take this a step further, in the previous song, I don't believe she was holding him accountable. I think she was just saying, these are the things that you did, and you thought you could get away with it. But it wasn't accountability. It wasn't saying if you just stopped and looked at what was happening. Maybe it could be. Maybe there could be aspects of accountability. But it definitely was not given to him the way that she's putting it on herself. I think we're being overly critical, and that makes sense because she'd rather think with her brain. I think that may be the case. But it is commendable to the fact that she is holding herself accountable before she holds him. Now, I'm not saying you gotta hold yourself before you hold the other. But what I am saying is at least she was able to understand past the hurt what went wrong, what she was trying to do that she should have just left on, and things that she would no longer tolerate in future relationship. Who knows? Also, fun fact, I don't know if this has to do with my psychic abilities, but every time I make a video, and you can't even say every time because you've only done it 3 times, but hold on. Every time I make a video about an artist so far, something in pop culture is happening surrounding them. Will I say, is it coincidence? I don't know, you tell me, because I thought 3 times a charm. And so she's going towards the next relationship, not tolerating X, Y, and Z that happened in the previous one. That's commendable. However, what's not commendable is not holding that man accountable and wanting to just dangle him above a fire and let him suffer the way that he made you suffer internally. That is inexcusable. That's what we need. That's what we need from it all, is a dangling over fire. Imagine how many things could be improved if we just dangled things over fire that we were not tolerating anymore. I was going to give that statement a moment of silence. I hope you did too, because that can be used for anything that you would like it to be used for. I mean, look at Nepal. Overall, I admire that mental pathway. However, take it a step further if we're saying that this is the case, that she's going to put herself accountable before she puts him accountable, could that then explain the reason as to why Note to Self was the first track and it came before Note to You? Because she was holding herself accountable before she ever touched him. I don't know. That could be the luck of the draw when it comes to that track listing. But I think, as that has been obviously shown throughout her verbiage and descriptors, that she's much more prone to putting herself on the back burner, and then on top of that, holding herself in contempt before she ever even touches him, because she's just been making excuses for him. She hasn't really gone into that layer of depth of, like, girl, why would you do that? She didn't even do that to him. And we just went over reminders. So maybe that's the case. Maybe while this is a relationship, this is also a relationship with herself. On, like, girl, we should have seen all these signs. We should have picked ourselves back up, but you let yourself stay in these feelings, which is something that is natural. You should have done. You should always make the run to emotional safety. However, this is not an emotionally safe environment. But she didn't realize that. You know, you gotta learn. Unfortunately, you got to learn. I hate having to learn it, but you got to learn. Niggas say what? That is all coming back towards the line of thanks for nothing. Thank you for not giving anything. Thank you for not breathing any life into me. Thank you for allowing me to realize that this is a waste of time, because I already got the signs that I needed earlier. I noted that we're going in a loop, okay? Stick with me, right? Because, like I was saying, this is all going back to her feeling as though she has no right to feel. So I said that she'd be better off instead intellectualizing her feelings instead of actually feeling it. Do we agree with that? Are we rocking with that sentiment? I think we are. Now, because that is the capability and that is what's happening, it then goes in to fuel the idea that the partner would be going insane if they were in her head. As she mentions in the song, saying, living in my mental, baby, you would go insane. You cannot take or fathom or comprehend the amount of times that I had to mentally go through barriers to try and make sense of this all, to tell myself, no, he cares. No, he didn't mean to do that. No, he loves me, but he really loves me not. All this is going into a feedback loop. Okay, taking it back to bio. Do I remember if it's called a negative or positive? No, which is why I didn't state that. We're going back into this loop of, I should have felt this. If you were in my place, you would do this, which strengthens the fact that I should have felt like this. And that is the thanks for nothing. That brings us to Beetlejuice. This song is all about the game of cat and mouse, more specifically how the cat was able to get the mouse out of the wall to eat it. That is what is coming out within this song, where she's saying, bittersweet, Beetlejuice, bitter me, how sweet of you too. Ask if I'd be your muse and go and paint me blue. You turn my one of one to a one of two. Oh, Jamaica Avenue getting it tattooed. 'Cause you make me feel what no other man could do. Taking those lines in, very obviously, turning my one of one love that I gave to you that was genuine, cheating on me, a second person that I have to compete with, or I have to figure out what's going on. And then on top of that, their second love for you. You turn my presence and my love into something of two. But one of us was genuine because you only wanted to use me in the end. But what we could have had was real. Now, the other thing is saying you wanted me. You came and went out of your way, even though we're taking everything that we've previously learned into account. This was all a game. However, there's still something in that. You went out of your way. You did all these tricks and flips to impress me just to do what you did. Now, that doesn't make sense. You asked me to be your muse, and then you're gonna depict me in this off-putting light, in this off-putting way. For what? You did this. You did not only the setup for the trap, but you also did the setup for me. So you're the one that's really putting in all of this work, and I was just trying to be honest and genuine with you. So why would you go and do these things? I don't get it. But what I felt for you, I thought was real because I was willing to get a tattoo of what I think is either where they met up at, where they lived together. I don't know, but it's something special because it's the fact that she went and got that tattooed. I wonder if she got that lasered. Now, if we're talking about him being sweet, we need to talk about how that feels. I am taking this as he is a parasite throughout it all. He has attached to her, used her for what she has, and once he's either been satisfied with it or got bored, seeing as how things played out, he left her. And let's get back to fire. Because as all this is happening, he was using what he did, all these things, whether it be calling her his muse or sweet talking her. You know, it all comes into effect. And when I say sweet talking her, I quite literally mean him saying, you know, my name would sound better if it was attached to your name. Maybe we should get married. You insinuating that, and then on top of that, you doing what you did? Come on now. That's parasitic. But what really took the icing on the cake was her leaving, unfortunately. As much as I wanted this violent outburst, of course, we don't live in fiction, and we are confined to the reality of everything in which we live, and somebody would probably go to jail, and this album probably wouldn't have the... Actually, I think it would have an enhanced effect if somebody were to go to jail in this instance. But unfortunately, the icing on the cake was her just leaving. Unfortunately, we can't have this violent outburst. Maybe it's illegal. Maybe it's dangerous and it's not something that would be tolerated by the rest of society. But just know if that were to happen, I would be excited about it. I would want that. I would be in the background saying, burn, burn, burn. Yeah. Fortunately, we couldn't have that. But what we do have that aligns to the story of being victimized is the fact that he went out of his way, like I said, to attract her, but then on top of that, manipulate her. Because there's something about this song that makes me feel as though throughout this relationship there was a conflated ego going along with everything. Because to compare yourself to Jesus, in this case of the song, you got to take a step back and say, now, did this man just compare himself to something outside of this physical plane? I know he didn't just do that, but yes, he did. Because it says, when you lie to my face, and then you'll say that even Jesus forgave, then we'll drive to your place and you'll make love to me while we're listening to Blonde by Frank. Put on that Godspeed like you're a godsend, and I'll bask in every single moment. Then you'll take me to the peak of your mountain, and then you'll tell me to drink from your fountain. Now, in just those lines, there are multiple references to them feeling as though not only are they above this plane with the comparison to Jesus, peak of your mountain, they feel as though they're the top of the top. Please don't make me laugh in your face, because I will in fact cackle in your face if you try to sit up here and tell me that not only do you believe you're the top of the top, that I should be grateful that I am able to be with you, and then on top of that, get to have you wine and dine me, and you be treating me. You know what this is kind of giving? This is kind of giving them people walking around saying they alpha male. You gotta say it, you ain't it. But then going into it and comparing it to listening to Blonde, giving us that image that once everything is done, they'll listen to Godspeed. Now, I did listen to Godspeed. That feels like ascension, for a lack of better words. It feels like ascension because it feels as though we are in church. And the vocals that are produced on the song feel like we are levitating into a plane above. So you are comparing yourself to gifting me the opportunity to be ascended, to be one that is with you, that is no longer on this physical realm. You think that highly of yourself when I just gave you track after track after track of what actually was going on. There is a conflated ego going on. There is a sense of delusion, and not haha funny, haha weird. What are you going on about? And as we can tell, it wasn't even worth it, because do I even know of this person? No. But you claim to be an artist. I don't know you. I know her. She went on to release album after album after album. I don't know you. Who are you? But you think that you're above everything. I don't get it. But what I also don't get is the fact that while all this is happening, of course, this is somebody that has nothing to do with the relationship. So, of course, I can see it for what it is as opposed to being in it. Girl, you were trapped by this person. Of all people, you were trapped by this person to the point where you said on candid camera, but the last time I see your face was in Atlanta, and I knew that she took my place because you vanished. We grow distant like you left me on an isolated planet. I'd rather die than be abandoned by you, because you know I didn't love you for the money, only the sugar in my honey, because it was so sweet. But if you never even loved me, then my heart will never skip a beat. Girl, there's parts of me that's just like, oh, but you gotta give grace. Oh, but this is how I found or discovered her. But after going through it to this depth, She is a yearner. She is a yearner, and we need yearners. We really do. But going back and listening to this song when we've gone into it with this extent, it leaves an aftertaste. It definitely leaves an aftertaste in my mind, more specifically in the listening experience of everything that's happening. But while all this is happening and going into the lure and ensnarement of it all, she is concluding the song and saying multiple times that this is a warning. Don't get caught up in somebody who has a conflated ego, somebody who walks around boasting that they're all that when they really did absolutely nothing for you. Because no point in this album so far has she highlighted that you did these things for me and it really helped me. Maybe all you did was pay for some dinners. That was it. You didn't do anything earth shattering that would cause you to be compared to Jesus. You didn't do anything earth shattering for me to look at you as if you're standing on the top of Mount Everest and the light that is coming from your body is so grand that I can't even look at you in your eyes or even look at you in general. You are not as big as the sun. You are a scum. Because at the end of the day, if she would have kept loving him, it would have drove her mad. I honestly believe that no matter how much she was saying that what I gave to you was genuine, I genuinely loved you, I feel as though if we went along this traction of thinking, she would have gone mad. And it would have, as the last line of the song is saying, take me to my grave. She would have gone mad with all this trying to keep up with that. You've got to keep up with all of that going on. That's you're doing too much. You're doing too much for me. I ain't got time for all this. You have a conflated ego, but yet you do nothing. Those things don't make sense. You have to do things that add up to justify that ego. And even in justifying that ego, who wants to sit around with somebody who's walking around with a big ego? Not I, says the cat. And that is where this is concluding as of right now, with this chapter being focused on feeling the things directly and going through all the things that we should have seen, but we weren't able to. But now we are. And that's what's important. That's what's needed to move on to the next step. And hopefully, by this third chapter, we will have a resolve that leaves us in a much better place. Or she could still be in rapture. She could fall back in a loop. You know how them folks be when they really want to love something. You can fall back in a loop. But we're hoping that that doesn't happen. We're really hoping that that doesn't happen. That has been Late Night Music Theory with your host, me. We were in it. We were definitely in it along these songs. But like I said, we're hoping it'll get better. And maybe it will. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. If you are rocking with the theories that I had so far, let me know. Comment some of your own. Don't forget, like and subscribe. And I'll see you later where we go into it even deeper than what we did before. Bye.